Hey guys, welcome into this segment from our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. In order to get the full podcast, go down to the description, go to Blog Talk Radio / The Onside Kick to download the full thing. Enjoy, everybody.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And welcome into another edition of The Onside Kick here on Most Valuable Podcast. If you're on YouTube, hello, guys. It is great to see your faces. If you're new to The Onside Kick, welcome to the video. If you got us on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or Stitcher, thank you guys for the listen and or download. And yet again, if you're a new listener, thank you for checking us out today. Mark, this is it. This is our kind of the podcast after the draft. The most wonderful time of the year has come and gone. There were some surprises this year, especially around some of the quarterbacks. Your team, you have you have their hoodie on, which it's one of those things where I don't know if I like it, only because you're covering up the goods. You're covering up the goods for everyone. Everyone can't see.
May or may not know
the MVP T-shirts
we got
that we now have, and we're working on getting those out so that you guys can buy some of those if you want to. We're still working on that part of it, but we do have MVP T-shirts now. But Mark, this podcast is going to be simple. We're going to do winners and losers for the draft. Then we're going to kind of look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Is Alex Smith's days numbered because of what they did in the draft? And then with the Bears, is it time to fire John Fox? Will he be gone after the 2017 season for football? But let's look at some winners and losers. And we'll look at winners first, kind of then some losers, maybe some mixing. But I want to start off with my number one team that to me had the best draft, and that's the Cleveland Browns. I love what they did, especially after night one. Loved what the Browns did. Went out and made the home run pick of Myles Garrett, number one. They go ahead, and I know some people didn't like the pick of Jabril Peppers. Loved it. Loved it there. You get another guy in your defense. You get Njoku, the tight end, to kind of help be big game Barnage's replacement, which he is now cut from the team. And then you go ahead and in the second round with your fourth pick, go ahead and get DeShone Kizer, who to me absolute steal with the 52nd pick overall. I love what they did, and they traded back a couple times in that draft to do these things.
Yeah, the Browns, what they've been really good at recently is getting more out of their picks. You know, they're definitely getting the value, but they will trade and they will make sure they have more picks later on. The Browns are just a team which will have nonstop extra. They're getting the bonuses. Obviously, Myles Garrett, that's the monster right there. That's what everyone expects. That was great. It's what you want. It's for sure what you want. They do a good job with getting Jabril Peppers, even though I had him as a overrated guy, but they got him late enough in the first round that you're pretty happy about it. You definitely like it.
And that was one of those they traded back from 12 to be able to get him in the late first.
Exactly. And I actually think that Kizer is a great option here. Yes, the quarterback room in the Cleveland Browns locker room is a little muddy right now.
Well, with Brock the Cock, Cody Kessler.
There's a lot of options here. And you're just adding one more to it, one who's a rookie who's got some things to work out. But he's the kind of guy who arguably could have gone in the first, but they're getting him in the second. You know, they waited to the right time to be able to grab him, and I think that it's going to be a definite addition and a good asset to have for the future of it. But I also love for the Browns the fact that, you know, name me a need that the Browns didn't fill. They filled everything they possibly needed to fill.
And one of the guys I did mention that I personally really like, they get him in, I want to say, the fifth round with their 160th pick, Roderick Johnson out of Florida State, the offensive tackle. This is a guy, Mark, that in the early mock drafts, so like 1.0, the way too early, this was a guy that to me has the potential to be a first-round talent kind of a guy. With this season, kind of fell back. To me, I thought that he might have been a second, third rounder, but falls all the way to the fifth offensive tackle. That was one where I'm like, that's going to be a good pick in a couple years. maybe even 2 years. That could be a really good pick for them, getting a quarterback, having quarterbacks needing help on that offensive line. What is one of your winners, though? Give me a team that you think is a winner.
Well, something that I'm going to like, of course, is a team that I love clawing up for. The Carolina Panthers.
Questionable pick at 8th overall, though.
Yeah, people had some issues with McCaffrey there, but all the reports were that the Panthers loved McCaffrey. And there's no doubt about the fact that he is going to be a good weapon in the offense with Cam Newton. They also get Samuel out of Ohio State, the wide receiver, who's going to be another good weapon. The problem for the Panthers have been that their weapons aren't really available when you need them to be. That's definitely been something that has hurt the Panthers in the past, but they could have possibly gone for a corner a little earlier, maybe, but they did address the need. Now, is he going to be a day one starter? I don't necessarily know about that, but they have that big hole that's there after Josh Norman was gone. But this is another team that they addressed their needs. They made sure to fix everything, but they didn't reach for players, even though I'm saying that because of McCaffrey. People want to say that they're going to reach for McCaffrey, but, Leonard Fournette wasn't there. And you need a running back, and it's a running back that you love.
Well, and the thing is, Leonard Fournette going off the board very early, going off 4th overall. And that was a pick that, I wanted to make in my mind. I went back and forth on that one with the Jaguars because I was like, it's either going to be defense or Fournette. Earlier mock drafts, I had Fournette. The last one, I went with defense because I thought Solomon Thomas would be there. But the thing that I like about the Panthers, I like the Panthers, but I don't. I like their first 3 selections. I like that they went out and got McCaffrey. I think he's going to be an option for them. And the thing that Sean and I talked about in our McCaffrey segment was I kind of see Christian McCaffrey bringing a kind of, when it was, I think it was like Flash or Dash, when they had D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, that kind of big back in Stewart, and then the kind of flashy speed back with D'Angelo Williams. I think they can do that here at McCaffrey. They can also move him out to a wide receiver, kind of Wes Welker-like to me. I like Samuel because, yet again, they need a wide receiver. They lost Ted Ginn Jr., to which me is a good thing to lose because he has a bit of the dropsies. I know that because he was on my fantasy team. And I like Morton, the offensive tackle from Western Michigan. The thing that I do not like, and this is my big knock against the Panthers and their draft classes, you mentioned it. Like Josh Norman is a guy who's no longer there. The cornerback was a big hole for them to fill. I think that, I look at it and I go, why wasn't that need addressed earlier? And that's my big thing. Maybe, and really that's where the Christian McCaffrey thing plays into it, because at the time at 8, you had some cornerbacks that you could go after. Even the second round, there were some cornerbacks that you could go after and you could hit.
Yeah, but I think that with that, what they are saying is, yes, we know defense was a little bit of an issue. It wasn't as good as it had been, and that was the big reason why not the big reason, but that was a big help for why we got to the Super Bowl in recent years. But they're saying the team is about Cam Newton. And if Cam Newton is not successful, this team will not be successful. When they were one of the highest scoring, if not the highest scoring, I think they were the second highest scoring offense that year. It was because of Cam Newton. It was because of the run game. It was because of what they were able to do with that. They're going back and saying that worked for us. Let's reload that offense, and we will get to the defense, because the defense is not in bad shape. It's just not as good as it was.
Yeah, and that's the thing. To me, it's really those first 2 picks where I feel like if you were with the Panthers, if you were going to go for Christian McCaffrey, that's fine. But I do look at it and go, well, Lattimore and Humphrey were both there. They were both there for you. But even in the second, Curtis Samuel's a guy where, yeah, we both said that's a nice pickup. But I look at the other cornerbacks that went right after. Sidney Jones would have been a nice option. He's a guy that I know is coming off an injury, but he can bounce back and be something special. You had Quincy Wilson was still there. Tease Tabor was still there. There were still guys available to where you could even get that in the second round. And even a guy that went 2 after their 64th pick in Taylor Morton was they could have even taken Witherspoon out of Colorado. That's just a position I think they should have hit earlier.
It just came to their priorities in that case of what they thought they needed. And apparently for them, it was the offense.
One last team that I know I want to mention as a winner because I really liked what they did. And for me, it's only a few picks that makes, because that's the thing. You're never going, there's very often, are you going to like an entire team's draft top to bottom? Of course, there are teams that do that. But one team I really like what they did was the Philadelphia Eagles. They go out there with the 14th pick. They look at it and go, you know what? We would have really liked to have a Fournette or a McCaffrey. Dalvin Cook's a reach. Let's go to pass rusher. They get Derek Barnett. Then in the second round, because the Panthers didn't want to take him, they get Sidney Jones, which to me, even with the injury concerns, I think has the potential to be something great at the next level. And with their running back deficiency, the one hole they wanted to fill, they get a guy in Donnell Pumphrey, who I know people are going to look at and go, well, Ricky, he's from San Diego State. Set a record in college. Really nice runner, kind of to me, a little cannonball, maybe like a Ray Rice or a Doug Martin. That's kind of what I look at when I see him. Those 3 picks, and I know I'm kind of highlighting 3 picks, but I like those. The first 2 they make, and then getting Pumphrey in the 4th, man. To me, I was like, those 3 picks alone, Philly did a nice job.
Yeah, Philly definitely... Philly knew what they were doing going in, and Philly had the advantage, too, of...
Hometown advantage?
Well, hometown advantage. They knew how to boo Goodell, but they had the advantage...
And the Cowboys.
Yeah, they know where their team is going. They've got Wentz. They know that they have these just small areas where they have to plug and play. It's not a team that has a ton of needs, so they were able to kind of be a little bit more strategic, and were able to do that where they say... okay, sure, we would like a running back, but it's a reach, so let's go somewhere else. They're able to do that a little bit more effectively than some of these other teams. Not a huge winner, but I'd like to give a shout out to the Arizona Cardinals as well because I like what they did. I like that they are reloading that defense, with Reddick, with Baker in the second round, and then also getting the depth of that offensive line as well. I just like what they did. I wouldn't consider them a huge winner because they still had some things they didn't address, like a quarterback would be a good thing to really address.
But I like that from the Cardinals because it's like, you know what? We have Carson Palmer. We'll settle quarterback next year.
Carson Palmer might not be there next year.
In a draft that is going to be very deep at the quarterback position.
That's what they say.
There are going to be a lot of quarterbacks to where teams, even I want to say late in the first round, even in the second, could be getting a solid guy to where they feel, you know what, I am confident in what I am getting out of this draft.
That's what they say, but we will find out. Let's talk about losers.
Give me a loser.
Yeah.
You start off the losers.
Well, okay, so for losers, obviously, we got to talk about everybody in the NFC North that is not the Chicago Bears because they all suck. But no,
really? Everybody
sucks.
Okay.
I kind of want to talk about the Saints. I don't necessarily completely dislike it, but at the same time, the Saints are this team where I don't 100% understand what's going on with them all the time.
I like the first 2 picks.
Yeah, Lattimore is good. Ramczyk is good. I would have loved to see them be one of these teams as well that is, trying to get more quarterback heir apparent for Drew Brees because we never know when that's going to be an issue. They did get, some solid depth for the defense later on. And I say depth because you're looking at 3rd rounders and then 6th round because they didn't have anyone in the 4th or the 5th. But I don't know. I just don't. Trading up for Ramczyk, I don't really like that.
Well, they ended up. That wasn't the trade up. That was the trade. The Brandon Cooks trade.
Yeah,
that was the Brandon Cooks trade that they ended up getting Ramczyk with. The thing, there are picks that I like with the Saints. There are 3. I mentioned the 2 of them with Ramczyk and Lattimore. I also like Kamara, the pick of getting him in the 3rd round from Tennessee. He was a guy after the combine. Everyone had a huge hard-on for Kamara and thought he was going to be a great running back, and they get him. However, I look at 2 of their needs, and I don't think the thing that I am going to criticize the Saints for is I don't think they hit 2 of their bigger needs. Of course, they get cornerback.
Yeah.
They get a safety, which is perfect. They get Williams. They get Lattimore. But 2 needs I think they needed were wide receiver and outside linebacker. They don't get that.
Yeah.
And I know what you're saying. Well, Ricky, we didn't have to really go with a wide receiver. And I mean, I wouldn't have the Ramczyk one. Zay Jones was there, and that was a guy I have kind of mocked there. I wouldn't go away from Ramczyk because I would take the offensive tackle there late before I would go with Zay Jones. I mean, maybe the Panthers kind of stole Curtis Samuel from them, which is why they maybe went with Williams there. But I mean, I just think that after Kamara, they could have went with guys like Henderson, guys like Stewart, guys like Goodwin, and got that wide receiver instead of an inside linebacker. And then very late, they go with 2 defensive ends instead of trying to hit some needs late.
But I do think that those defensive needs would have been useful a little earlier. I mean, Ramczyk is good, and I do apologize for blanking on Cook's trade, but for that's he's a solid player, and it's definitely useful on the offensive line. But this is a team that, if they didn't walk away fixing their defense from the draft, no matter what, people were going to call them losers in the draft.
And that's why I would have maybe gotten off. I would have got an outside linebacker instead of 2 defensive ends.
But even so, I mean, you look at Ramczyk at 32, and it's like, yes, that was good, and he's a good player, and you're going to be happy with him. But it wasn't a need. You didn't need that player. And sure, BPA and all of that. But same thing with safety is yes, safety was a need getting Williams, but linebacker probably was a more pressing need in my eyes for him. It's not necessarily that they didn't address their needs. It was more of, I don't think they did it very effectively, and I don't think they necessarily fixed this defense coming out of the draft, even though you look at it and say, wow, they got quite a few defensive players. Things aren't necessarily solved for the Saints.
Now, I'm going to give a loser, and this is going to be one where, I'll be honest, this is a team we're going to talk about a little bit later, and this is a team that I know Sean and Mike Rankin talked about, and they really enjoyed the first draft pick for this team. In my eyes, the Bears are a loser after this draft, and I know what you guys are expecting. You're expecting me to say that, oh, it's because Mitch Trubisky wouldn't have traded up for him. It's not all about the Mitch Trubisky move. I get that part of it. If you really quarterback is the only position where you shouldn't mind if your GM trades up for the quarterback that they believe can. Because Ryan Pace has come out and said he can be the franchise.
They got to do it.
The thing that I look at is a lot of the other picks. The Bears only had, 5 drafted players in this draft. I look at that and go, you need to hit on every single need. The tight end you guys took in the second in
Baby Gronk,
Shanahan, it's one of those things where if he develops into it, he could be I hear great things from him, but he played D2 and he is jumping straight to the NFL where the pass rushers are bigger, the pass rushers are stronger. Basically, looking at his tape, he was a man among boys in D2. It ain't going to be like that in the NFL.
Although he's still bigger than a lot of these players he's going to go up against.
I'm scared about that pick. Another pick, Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson to me is one of those, the biggest knock against him is he's coming off of, I want to say, a broken leg.
Yeah. I
don't know, if this is the one criticism I have with the Trubisky move. And I get, like I said, I get it. If you want to go for your franchise guy, go for that franchise guy. But in my mind, if I was a Bears fan, I would have looked at it and said, I don't care what safeties you have. That defensive backfield needs more help per se. Then the quarterback, who Trubisky's not even going to play this season. I would have thought the Bears would have had a better draft if they stayed at 3, drafted a guy like Jamal Adams, and then with the 4th round pick that they got with 112, take a guy like Joshua Dobbs. I'm just using that because that's the next quarterback that was taking. Of course, like, you can go with any quarterback, but switching those 2 positions is what I think the Bears should have done. And I look at the rest of their draft. Cohen, a running back that, he'll add some depth, but Jordan Howard's your guy.
2 completely different running backs, though.
Jordan Morgan is one of those things where I don't know exactly how he is also going to help a guy also who did not play D1 football, and you're going to expect him
Senior Bowl
to
guy.
come in. Yeah. And that's the thing where the Bears, they better hope and pray that this draft hits. Because if it doesn't, sweeping changes. And that's why right now I'm putting them as a loser.
I disagree. I think people are way overreacting to the Chicago Bears. And I'm wearing my Bears stuff here. So you guys.
In protest?
No, not in protest. But so I knew the Bears
haters
were going to come up today, and I knew it would come up. So I wanted to put it out there so people will know that I am a Bears fan. I just want to put the bias out there immediately. I think people are overreacting. I do think that the trade for Trubisky didn't need to happen. Not because I think he would be there at 3, because I'm thinking that the guys on the phone probably know more than me when it comes to what teams are or not interested in trading up. So I just think I would have preferred Adams, sure, but I don't think you could have left for the 4th round to take a quarterback.
Well, even if it's before that.
Could have easily been Kaiser in the 2nd round. But my argument against Kaiser is his flaws are Jay Cutler's flaws. You guys just got rid of Jay Cutler. Speaking of, we're going to get to it, I'm sure, especially in my draft grade for the Chicago Bears. You guys should check that out. Anyways, my big complaint for so many Chicago Bears fans that are saying, and I'm going to lump Ricky into this too because he hates Jay Cutler, but who have been complaining about Jay Cutler for almost a decade, this is what you fucking get. If you sit there and talk about the Bears don't have a quarterback, why can't they get a quarterback? Oh, Glennon? What the hell is that? That's not a real quarterback.
I actually like Mike Glennon.
They fucking traded up for you. Not you, but for you. They traded up for you.
Don't lump me in. I'm a Vikings fan.
Yeah.
I hope Trubisky sucks. Then we can
did
win the division.
This because you guys want a quarterback so damn badly. You know, that's why they were willing to do whatever it takes.
This is a side conversation. This is a side question, but I'm going to ask you, with both me and you being at the top of MVP, being the founders here, I feel like we need to make a decision.
Yeah.
Because apparently the Tribune, the day after Trubisky was drafted, said, "What should we call you?" And he said, "Call me whatever you want." So they have gone with Mitch. Apparently ESPN, on ESPN Radio, they told all their guys, "We are going with Mitchell." Are we going to go with? Is MVP going with Mitch, or are we going with Mitchell? We got to make that decision.
Here's my thought. You being not in the Chicago Bears fan base, I think you have to call him Mitchell. We can call him Mitch. He's our boy.
I'm calling him Mitch Trubisky.
He's
That's
our
what
guy.
I'm calling him. Pass me the gravy.
He loves kissing titties, so whatever.
He does.
But anyways,
like that.
no, I mean, it just blows my mind this offseason, and it started with Glennon, with people complaining about this.
Glennon.
And people complaining about, oh, you should have just kept Jay Cutler. No, you guys wanted Jay Cutler gone. I did not say that Jay Cutler should leave. I thought we weren't going to get anything better than Jay, and I don't think Glennon's going to be that much different than Jay, and when Trubisky's going to sit anyways. I'm
going to throw out another team now.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me just adjust a few more things for the Bears.
Mark's got to go. Mark's got some stuff he's got to get off.
I got this here. No, for this, the tight end, affectionately named Baby Gronk, I'm just interested to see what happens. There's a lot of potential. Eddie Jackson, I disagree with drafting Eddie Jackson. Pace has shown that he is willing to blatantly ignore injury, and it's been a huge detriment for the Chicago Bears.
I just think if you were going to draft a safety, why not get the best one? You had
because they figured they got the best quarterback. They got the best quarterback instead.
I would have taken the best safety, but go on.
I do agree with just pure position. if you're going to get the best safety or the best quarterback, I'm going to take the best quarterback all day, every day. I don't necessarily know that Mitch Trubisky is the best quarterback, but hey, he's my quarterback.
He's the best quarterback in this draft class, which is not really the best quarterback.
He's the one that Pace wanted. I like Cohen. I think that he's a great change of pace to Jordan Howard. And then, of course, depth for offensive guard, sure, whatever. To me, I'm not going to give draft grade here. You guys got to check that out in the video. But this was Ryan Pace is swinging for the fences. And it's either going to work or it's not. I don't think we're going to have sweeping changes.
Well, Trubisky's not starting this year.
Yeah.
Unless there's an injury to Glennon.
Let's be real. A lot of people say that they're not going to start and then the rookie starts at some point. I say by week 10, Trubisky's already played a game.
Okay.
If I had to take a guess.
I want to throw out another team. And this is one I just want to throw it out there.
Yep.
And you give your thoughts if I'm right calling them a loser.
All right.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean,
because you even said it before we recorded. I was kind of upset with the Trubisky trade. Then I saw the Chiefs trade. And I was like, okay, I feel better.
Yeah, the Trubisky trade, in when you really look at it, actually really wasn't that bad. Mahomes, trading up and losing a first-rounder next year, that bugs me. And I mean,
Texans did the same thing.
They did. But I sit there and I'm like, so the Bears... I mean, I know they only had to move up one, but the Bears were able to not give up a first, and you had to give up a first for the second quarterback?
Now, the argument that I've heard, and this is from like Sean and Dave and everybody, is the Bears were only moving up one pick.
Yep.
The Chiefs had to move up basically the entire draft order.
Which is fairly accurate and a big point, but... Those 1, 2, 3, those type of picks are worth a lot too. So I don't know. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but trading a first rounder, I don't like it. I'm never gonna like trading away first rounders. The thing for the Chiefs is, yes, you get Mahomes. I do not believe that Mahomes is anything that special.
Apparently, Andy Reid really likes him,
and he can fit what Andy Reid can do well.
Loves that
enough.
big arm.
I think there's some flaws in Mahomes' game. He's got to work those things out. You just maybe, kind of shut the door on Alex Smith in the near future.
And we're going to get into that.
But you also didn't address your defensive tackle or your cornerback, which are really important needs as well. So this defense, which was good last year, no doubt about that, there's some holes that are still there. The problem that I see too, yes, you get you kind of address the running back position here through the draft, but this offense needs some more explosive energy to it as well. It's not necessarily that the Chiefs, in my eyes, are this big loser. It's just that when you're looking from year to year, I don't necessarily see that one thing that makes me go, yes, now the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl. And now they will be contenders.
The one pick I will say I do like, and this is only one pick, is I do like Hunt, the running back out of Toledo. I've always liked him. I thought he was going to be a good day 2, day 3 drafted back. But, the wide receiver out of Michigan they got in Chesson, let's see how a 4th-round wide receiver comes in and does day 1. But really the bulk of this draft grade for the Chiefs has to be on Mahomes. Has to be on Mahomes because you traded so much to get him, and it's one of those things where, and we're going to get into it after winners and losers, is Alex Smith time is done. We're going to answer that later.
I just want to see, when does his contract end?
Alex Smith?
Yeah, because he's got a while on it still, is my understanding. He's got free agent in 2019.
So he's got 2 more seasons.
So I guess it's not as bad. I thought he had a couple. I thought he had at least 3.
So he's got the 2017, 2018, but there's a possible out after this year.
Yeah, so I guess maybe they can move on, but there's a
possible
really thinking
out
about
after this season.
Alex Smith is the kind of guy, which, yes, I know he lost a job to Colin Kaepernick. He's the kind of guy who will not make the mistakes to lose a job.
Because he's a game manager.
He only lost the job because he was hurt. So Mahomes basically has to go in there and steal
You're
the job.
saying in San Francisco he lost the job because he was hurt.
So now
Kaepernick did play really good though that year. Though.
Yes, he did, but Kaepernick would have never had the opportunity.
Yeah, if he didn't get hurt.
And on this side in Kansas City, Mahomes has to go and he has to steal that job, and he totally can with a cannon of an arm. But Alex Smith is not going to lose you games. You're going to be replacing
Unless
a guy.
It's the playoffs and you can't score a touchdown.
Yeah, but there's a lot more than just Alex Smith today.
Yeah.
That's the explosion I'm talking about. Explosiveness here. But I just don't know that Alex Smith is not going to give Mahomes the opportunity to come in and play unless he gets hurt.
Give me one more team, either winner or loser, wild card. Give me one team winner or loser to end the segment.
I'm going to talk about a loser here.
Okay. You give a loser, I'll give a winner.
Even though I like Leonard Fournette a lot.
Jaguars.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't think really addressed any needs. I mean, they made a fair amount of picks. They definitely did. They got somebody from your favorite school out there.
Dwayne Smoot.
The Illini.
Dwayne Smoot.
But
I like Smoot.
You address the tackle, you address the running back by getting the best running back, but there's still definitely holes on the offensive line. There's holes on the defensive line. You need a tight end.
I don't know. I like with the Jaguars, they're an interesting one. I think for me, they're not a winner nor a loser. They're middle of the pack. I like their first 4 picks. I mean, Westbrook is probably their biggest risk. But if they can hit on Westbrook, if everything works out with him, he could be good for an already stacked wide receiver core there with the Allen to Allen connection that they have. If Fournette can be the bell cow they won at the running back position, Robinson, who was once a top 5 pick in mock drafts, they get him in the early second. And then Dwayne Smoot, where it'll be interesting to see because he's nothing like Merciless. Like, Merciless was our guy. Like, that is the guy where it's like, man, he's our top pick. Smoot's not like that, but Smoot could come in and be like a Jihad Ward for Oakland. A non-first round pick comes in and contributes to that team and there. Yeah. So that's where they get. I like their first 4 picks.
My big issue with the Jacksonville Jaguars is like Leonard Fournette's a great addition. But I look at Westbrook there and I say, yeah, but you don't need a wide receiver.
Thought they could have went somewhere else.
Yeah, you could go somewhere else. You get the inside linebacker Brown in the 5th round. And sure, we're in the 5th round at this point, but I'm like, is that really something you needed, though? And BPA, I love BPA, but at the same time, this team has a lot of holes. And I look at the wide receiver here, and I think, sure, your wide receivers aren't producing because of the guy throwing the ball to them. Not because of the wide receivers necessarily.
Yeah.
Your wide receivers are all right. They're doing fine. So they weren't going to address the quarterback here. They just picked up Blake Bortles' 5th-year option. But I sit here and I'm like, you didn't fix things. You just got players who were good. Which is okay, but I'm going to call you a loser for it.
I'm going to give one last winner to end the segment. This is one team I wanted to save to the end because let's be honest, this team had some of the biggest question marks, both at needs and at personnel running the team. They had a full change at GM and head coach, and I feel like if you're a San Francisco 49er fan, you're looking at John Lynch going, okay, you can do this. I have confidence in you. You can do this. Not only does he make the trade with the Bears, and I'm not saying like, the 49ers won and the Bears lost, just to be able to say, like, for the 49ers, I would only say that trade was a win for them because it benefits them more to get the 3rd overall pick and 2 additional picks.
They got their guy anyways.
Yeah, they get extra picks just for taking a guy they would have taken probably 2nd overall if the Bears didn't trade. I mean, they thought the Bears were going to take Solomon Thomas when they made the trade with the Bears. They get Thomas there. They trade back in for the 31st pick to get Reuben Foster, who I'm surprised fell that low. Whereas the funny thing, did you hear the funny story about Reuben Foster? He said that the Saints, who were at 32, called him and said, we want to speak to your girlfriend. His girlfriend's from Louisiana. And he's like, okay, that's kind of weird. Here you go. And he's like, all I could hear is her going, yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. And answering the questions. And then all of a sudden she like hits the mute and shows him that call waiting, the 49ers are on the line. He hung up on the Saints to pick up that call from the 49ers because the 49ers were going to draft him.
That's going to be a story that comes up one of these days when the 49ers play the Saints. And then if the Saints...
Because he told the story when they were at the podium. It was him and Solomon Thomas at the podium for their first-round picks.
You know, I'm not going to take anything away from Solomon Thomas. He's a good player, but you guys know how I felt about him going up. I think he's overrated. Yeah. I definitely don't think he was second overall, third overall, whether the trade happened or not.
I still like it. You get a good offense. You get a good defensive lineman. You get Reuben Foster late.
Reuben Foster's great.
Witherspoon in the third is nice. C.J. Beathard, that was the one pick where I'm like, okay,
I don't understand
that's kind of questionable. I thought that there were a couple backs or a couple quarterbacks at that point where I'm like, I would have taken Dobbs over Beathard.
In my eyes, there's a good chance you're going to be in the top of the draft next year.
They're going to get their franchise.
Yeah, you're drafting a quarterback next year. You've got two serviceable quarterbacks. You got a serviceable quarterback and a slightly below average quarterback. Two fairly below average.
You mean Sparkles Barkles is going to bring them to the Super Bowl? Super
Sure.
Barkles?
On Madden, yeah. But I just think that...
Super Bowl, Super Hoyer?
You know, it's just... I don't know. It didn't make sense to draft a quarterback. I thought the quarterback pick was a 110% waste.
Okay.
Not because of the player or anything like that. It's just he's not going to get an opportunity, and you're going to draft a quarterback next year. So what was the point in drafting one this year? But who knows? Maybe he'll become the next Tom Brady. So... I think that, the 49ers did a great job. Lynch did not fuck it up, which is what I think a lot of people were nervous about.
If I'm a 49er fan, like I said, I'm looking at this draft going, okay, Lynch can do this. Like, I am confident in this team moving forward.
Of course, then, week one, all of them get injured, and it's fucked.
Because the one thing I'll bring up quarterback-wise, let's be honest, you do know the real plan for the Niners.
Well, they would love Kirk Cousins.
It's to get Kyle Shanahan's boy in Kirk Cousins.
But we'll see if it happens.
And pair up the All-American, we haven't said that in a while, the All-American Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
And Kyle Shanahan.
All-American.
The corn-fed All-American.
Yep.
But this is going to do it for our winners and losers. Longest segment I think we've had in a while here on the podcast. But this is where you guys let us know down below in the comment section, who were your winners, who were your losers. Do you agree with our winners? Do you agree with our losers? Continue the discussion down below in the comment section. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment from the onside kick. If you think the fun stops there, you're wrong, because click the video right over here. What are you thinking? Come on, click it. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Bye, everybody.